yeah. Did you leave it at City Hall?
Was that?
Did you leave it at City Hall?
Was the,
It's
was
got
it
nice
the
cover.
Teams
on
meeting not included in the
Chris.
agenda? packet or calendar?
Yeah.
I was trying to look.
No, it's in person. Now, when we start getting to the public, we can expand the ways to communicate.
Okay.
And then I need to check the clerk's office on what the right tool is in here.
You're running to perfect.
Jill, nice to meet you. Oh, yeah. Did everybody else? Yeah.
And your name again, that's, control.
Oh, that's good. That's a good shot.
That's it. Sorry.
All right, recording is on.
All right, well, let's call to order the, what's today, May 23rd, Independent Salary Commission. And the first thing on there is approval of minutes. Anybody have any comments or suggestions about the minutes? No, so it's passed by consensus. And then there's public comment. I don't see any public attending, so after that. And so the next item is the agenda items. And so first up is, go through kind of an approach that Henry started, and there's a few items, but basically Henry's great work to kind of organize our thoughts as we start narrowing down. I mean, there's still a little more information to come in, but at this point, I think we can start narrowing down where we go. Different decisions for the whole series of them.
Can we go through staff's overview first before you get to that part?
Yes.
Okay.
So that will be next, the staff overview, because there's more data, right? So comparable cities and stuff, so. That is, who has the floor for that? It's gonna be Tina and Lauren, I guess.
Yeah, Christopher. So I'll just first say thank you to HR for your help in pulling this data together. It does reflect more than one person's effort. So it's a good document, a good resource, and turn it over to you two.
I agree, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I said this before, but I'll say it again, and big thank you to Chris for doing a lot of the legwork on this and really making sure that we got accurate data from our counterparts. That's always a data, but accurate data. So we'll kind of, Tina, did you want to go through the presentation? Is that kind of what you're thinking, and then look at the data, or?
Yeah, if that's helpful. I certainly just, want to be mindful that you've got sort of three sets of data points, sort of what's our philosophies, and you've got some links to that. And of course, if this tells a story to the public, if they're interested in looking at our agenda materials online. Benefits could have something, indicators to your decisions. There is the link to the benefits packages that you've seen, so it's just another resource. And then what are our comparison cities? And so there's 11, and this data, of course, is reflected on your table. We go to our next. There's some quick facts that were pulled from the Excel worksheet that was provided that I think tells a quick story, which is, almost all of them, all of the population was within King County. You've got, two cities that had some of their population that fell over into an adjoining county. A little bit more than half are mayor council form, which is our form of government. So that was the category that I chose to display that information in. 73% had salary commissions in place that helped make these decisions. And then 59% offer some form of medical, dental, or vision, and 36 had some other life insurance component. You had a footnote that we added to this slide, so do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so I think, largely, the compensation data sort of speaks for itself, what the council members make on a monthly basis. When you start looking at the benefits side of the equation, we do want to just fill in some details for the commission. So when you're looking at kind of the average jurisdiction, they do provide medical benefits for council members. However, as we're looking through what those jurisdictions are, all of them are self-insured for their medical benefits. And we are not self-insured for our medical benefits. So all of the cities that are on the same plan that we're on do not offer medical benefits.
Wow.
To the city council.
To their city council, correct.
And self-insured means?
Self-insured means you essentially take on the risk of your medical plan. So you have a self-insurance fund that you then use to pay for claims and that kind of thing.
Got it, like an HSA, but government.
Yeah, more or less like a very large.
Very large.
Like 5
That
person.
is shared, it's a pool
Yeah.
share, okay?
So this is where the threshold requirements would come into place, which is why we're hearing from
Yeah.
our provider that you would have to have, so much participation amongst the council to even obtain this benefit. The other cities don't have to go through that level of effort because they're self-insured.
They
Yeah.
pay their own medical expenses directly, so.
Yeah, and you can set your own rules, yeah, so they could say, any council members can participate or not, or whatever, but because we have that requirement for 50% participation.
Yeah.
To even be on the medical plan, my suspicion, and we don't know this for sure, is that a lot of the other jurisdictions, we're worried about the same things that we've talked about here, which is you have a new council member elected, they don't want to take the medical, everybody gets kicked off, right? So that's a weird dynamic.
So that was an eye opener for us, collecting the data and
But
then
great that you
looking
brought
at
that, because that makes a big difference, obviously.
Yeah.
Do we have, data around the cost of, the cost to the insured on adding themselves to a plan, either the one we have or a self-insured option that is offered today?
It depends a little bit on what you're thinking of, but so we could easily value a medical benefit for you if that's what you're thinking in
Yes.
terms of, what is that worth to the council member? What does that cost the city kind of thing? So we can put a number to that. In terms of, what the council members are paying at all of these jurisdictions if they take benefits, it seems like the typical is that they don't pay anything for themselves, but if they want to add dependents, they have to pay a large portion of the premium share to add dependents. So.
And that was what they do for their staff also, right?
No, for a lot of them, it's different. So, typical city, you can add yourself for free or very low cost, and then your dependents is, 10 to 15% of the full premium is what you would pay. But for a council member, it's more like 90 to 100% of the full premium. So it's a little bit different. Yeah.
Yeah, just so for background, uninsured versus insurance company. The city was uninsured, and as of first this year, they went to buy insurance from Association of Washington Cities. And so that is across the board, so that's where the providers are, the carriers are now. So they can't have one small group of self-insured, it's all or nothing. Just so to make that clear, that works
All or nothing,
for the entire city. So all employees or council member are considered employees because they're paid. But, the package they can offer is, they used to be self-insured, they're no longer, they saved some money. premiums for everybody that's safe. So it's a good decision. It changes over time.
Right.
When self-insured is a good deal, but things have shifted, so.
But there's no employee that can opt out. It's all or nothing.
Oh, what John means is we have to offer the same package for everybody, like in terms of, if you go, John's talking about, making the decision as a city to go self-insured. And so we can't have like, one tiny medical plan for 3 people or that type of thing. We
And
have
for
kind of
individual
one.
employees, each group's pool is big enough that they're all, they have coverage. Even if 1 or 2 people decide not to, because they have coverage of a spouse or something else going on. But those are larger pools, more than 7.
Yeah, and for us, and we've shared this data before, and it's in the packet as a link, is that we have 3 medical plans to choose from. We have 2 dental plans, vision and so on. And the document goes on for 5 pages to talk about, I don't expect you to read this, but it talks about the levels, depending on which one you choose and.
Your contribution to
Yes.
each and all
Yeah,
that
there
stuff.
should be.
And there's dental.
So,
Yeah.
sorry, when you were saying we could put a value to that for this plan, for what it would be for our council members, but what's the cost, what's the value for the self-insured cities per council member? So is there a way to figure that?
Yeah, so that, it's always something that comes up is, do we compare what we all pay for benefits against each other? Because
Like,
really.
this is why you're not getting that big of a raise, because we can't afford it.
Well, yeah, because, we have, we kind of look at what is our benefits package, and it's pretty similar to what all these cities offer.
Okay,
And so whether we pay 1,000 and they pay 2,000, you're getting the same product, more or less. So we don't like to compare against the self-insured cities, because a lot of the times they are paying a lot more, but they're
Oh,
not
really?
getting that much more
I thought it
value.
would be less there, okay.
It's costing the city more, maybe.
Yeah, it costs the city more.
Well,
Some of them less, some of them substantially
Okay.
more,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
I really did think it was cheaper to go that way, but
Yeah, it can be. Let's put it that
Factors,
way.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if we value the benefit, internally, we'll flag that for now, and then when you get to discussion, I think that would be a good point to decide, is that something you do want us to
Yeah,
research or not?
and that's, in terms of, us valuing a benefit today, we could give you a number, today, so that you can kind of at least have that in your minds.
Yeah, we'd love
I
to.
would just need to look it up real quick, but we can absolutely do that, so.
We can look that up when they get to the. All right,
Before you move on, Lauren, so if I'm understanding you correctly, Tukwila, which is the smallest city on this list, is self-insured.
They are, yes. Which would be why
Pretty
they
risky.
pay more for benefits, but
Yeah.
than you would if you're fully insured, yeah.
yeah, I don't need that comparison now, because it wouldn't help us. What about life insurance?
Yeah, so life insurance, we absolutely could provide, we would have to pay the full costs, we'd have to cover all of them.
Oh,
And again, that's a number that we can provide for you all, if that's a helpful number.
oh,
We
just must participate.
Yeah, so we have some participation rules on all of
Okay.
these different types of
Oh.
plans. Medical, again, it's that kind of complicated participation rules, but we can value that benefit if that's, maybe offering medical is difficult, but valuing the benefit might be a different way to get at that.
But, I mean, it's a benefit that according to this in the life, I mean, they get it. And they don't have to pay for it, and because the city will cover 100% of it, and they get life insurance.
You're saying life insurance? Yeah, and we have to pay 100%. We actually have no choice. So, it's either, city pays 100% and we pay it for everyone, or nobody gets
Yeah.
life insurance.
So is that offered to them now?
It's not, no, yeah.
I'm sorry, you have to pay for everyone or no one?
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also, it's not like I can opt in and then somebody else doesn't, and then,
yeah,
It's not like.
so you have to go through the 200 and some odd plus elected officials and say, everybody gets, life insurance. So it's
Um,
not offered right now, nobody, like.
To our 7.
to our
Oh,
council
so that's a
members.
different, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so it's
Yeah.
treated, it's a different pool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
the
these are,
Association of Washington Cities this is our insurance requirement thresholds that are specific to Issaquah.
yeah, and you'll notice it says elected
Yeah.
officials, so, this is specific to insurance requirements for elected officials.
So does the mayor count as that or no?
She does in a sense, so, like if we were to offer medical, she would count towards the 50%. But she has medical insurance offered now since she's a full-time mayor position,
Right, but then.
So she does life insurance then also?
Yeah. all of the above. Mhm.
Yeah, but she has a clause in her ordinance that sets her salary that says she receives the same benefits as the directors do.
Mhm.
But the ones that are, city must pay 100% of the premium,
Yeah,
and 100% of them need to participate. I'm looking at the last two lines,
Yep.
right? We could just offer them and it would impact them zero other than getting the benefit,
We think the value.
right? It does impact the city because they have to
Does
pay.
that cost very much per council member if you gave them a $50,000 policy?
no, it's not very much. It's in the ballpark of $10 a month
Oh,
kind of thing.
great.
Yeah, so.
That's like a gold star. We could just add that in as one of our
Kind of
raises
basic
tax that you
taxes.
get this.
Yeah, and long-term disability is in the same boat. I don't remember the exact cost, but it's not high.
But we can do it and it's not a big 800 hurdles and jumping through this.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
100% they must participate for the life insurance.
Yeah, but since the city covers the premium,
Then
that's.
it's not.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
it's-
Can't
don't
see
give them a
someone
choice.
opting out.
Why
Hey,
would-
I have life insurance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you just,
Oh, no, I don't want life insurance. I want to
yeah. I
live
don't
on the
know.
edge, like.
Would there be a conversion benefit for when they leave the council?
I would have to look into that. We do have that for employees, but I would just have to verify that. I'm not sure.
Normally a letter comes, right? This is, you can extend your life insurance,
Yeah,
get your premium.
exactly, yeah.
Right, and then, just taking Issaquah and showing its information that's on, within your, Excel document here, your PDF, that just shows the difference compared to the average, and then what the percentage, is to that. And again, that's on the working document as well.
So you did the average of the cities listed on this sheet.
Mhm.
And this is just dollar to dollar comparison, correct?
And then we did that, this one
That's
was
what we came up with.
monthly, this one was council member. And to also demonstrate if you took council member and took the add-ons, what that average would be. And what that's difference was. Same thing, you've seen this one before. This was the whole conversation that we had, so not a new slide, but it's here, so when you get to discussion, we can help answer questions or influence some decisions if you're making those then. And again, we've got, so we can pull up if it's needed, what you might consider and what you might not. And of course, there's, could be others. And with that, this was new information. It was again, the threshold requirement document. So we thought that was important. And it sounds like you're gravitating to the last 2 rows on here, so we'll be sure to get you, look up the numbers when there's a convenient time. Is it helpful if I pull up this document, or do you want to
Yeah,
talk through some highlights of this?
I do, yeah, if, you can, I mean, we can pull it up, or if everybody's got it in front of them, we can do it that way.
I'll at least put it on the screen so the public knows what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
that's great. Great. So, as we're looking at, I'm kind of honing in on salary data here, so council salaries. The commission a couple of times has said, sort of, staff, what would you do with this data a little bit? And so, I thought we would just give you some insight to how we would look at it if it was a city position, so not a council, position, just a normal staff position. We, typically, there's an art and a science to this. We don't have like a target or anything like that, but we like to try and be sort of towards 75th percentile. We don't want to be leaders of the pack a lot of the time. We don't want to be necessarily 10th, out of 13 cities. We don't want to be below average. We want to sit, top 3, top 4, somewhere in that area where we're recognizing, that we're trying to attract and retain good staff. But we're also not trying to pay a dollar value that's well out of line with what other jurisdictions are paying for the same body of work. And so, normally if I was looking at this kind of data, there's a pretty big discrepancy between, our 4th and our top. So, that's a pretty large range already, to be sort of considering. But that's sort of the area that we'd be sort of honing in on, and then thinking through, how are we more like some of these jurisdictions than others? Is there, work that our staff positions doing that's more similar to Kent or more similar to Redmond? Scope, scale, all that kind of stuff. So I think, that gives you sort of again, it's an art and a science a little bit. You want the data, but you also have to be evaluating some criteria that go beyond just maybe numbers. And so that's how we would think about it. Yes, yeah.
In the future, a new commission may be tasked with evaluating it. Your efforts will be the best efforts that you can do at this time.
Right.
And if things change, then it's time to call a new commission together.
Question for you. Just giving up on us.
Yeah.
No, not
Is
at all.
Kent the part-time like our council?
Oh, they all are.
And do we know if these cities have recently adjusted the salaries or also are due to?
So no, Kent was in March. That's when they had implemented this salary.
Okay.
And so, and I think they backdated that to the 1st of January, quite possibly too. That one's very new. Bellevue though, had done that quite a few years ago. I think one of the say 2015 for their salaries. Redmond is looking at theirs now. So that is something they're taking deep interest in, is how dated at the moment. I know Federal Way only looks on even years, so they'll be looking next year in 2024. Some of the others here, I don't exactly have the data on how often they look, so those are just ones that.
So is it the general trend here that the cities on top have more recently adjusted the salaries perhaps, or not?
Well, not necessarily, because for instance, Kent is the most recent one, so that was this year, but like I said, Bellevue, I think that was back as far as 2015 or something like that, yeah.
Right, yeah.
And so they kind of force out to the future and say, hey, wait a second, let's think about all the polls that we made out over the years, and let's just set it right here and put us up to the top.
And perhaps for Bellevue, this is already due to just in dollar amounts, giving how much bigger it is, right? The same.
The total assessed value is one way of looking at sort of the economic base. Are there other important components to the city's economic basis?
Yeah, there can be. I mean, you can definitely, we don't have this data, but one data point that we'll look at is operating budget sometimes, because that gives you a sense of what kind of tax are they getting in from sales tax, business tax, property tax, like all of the above. And that does drive, how large your staff is going to be and that kind of thing as well.
You typically don't look at that for staff salaries?
We don't know, because, you know, from a staff perspective, we have a recruiting radius, right? So we have to be responsive to that recruiting radius regardless of sometimes exactly how similar we are to another jurisdiction. We honestly try not to look, too closely at, you know, if our scope matches theirs, somebody could leave tomorrow and go get that same job somewhere else, right? So.
Would it be difficult to get total revenue or total operating budget, just a bottom line number for each of this?
It's not housed in one place.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as easy to get as the King County and the other data that you see.
You have to go to each city's website and they don't all.
And
do
even
it the same
then, they
way.
all don't have it
They
posted.
don't
Yeah.
report it the same way. I mean, you could look at it from the top line, which is, I don't care what they invest capital, it's just everything they do.
Yeah,
And then use that with FTEs, because one of the things that's not here is some cities have water districts, some don't. Some cities have police departments, some contract those out. So for example, Sammamish, you know, they contract out almost everything except parts, I think, and of course, HR, IT, that kind of stuff. So, it's a different amount of decisions, I guess, and the council's still deciding about budget for these contracts, but they're way less flexible. They can't just cut 10 people in the police budget that's provided by King County. And so on. So there's some nuances, you know, with these different cities in their makeup. And like we're full service, we have water, everything you don't have is fire, really. And one thing, Bellevue has fire, and West Delta, they use fire districts.
mhm. That is one of the benefits of pulling, you know, 13 or so jurisdictions though, is that like none of them are quite exactly a match with us, but once you've got a big enough pool of data, if you're looking at the average, you're getting pretty close to kind of, you know, what would make sense.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think about if there's a way to get a top line view of total financial foundation for the city. There may not be, but
Yeah, we'll flag it, and then as you get closer to discussion, if it's data that you need us to get, we can make efforts to bring that back to you. But rather than just do it, we want to make sure that
it's useful.
it's useful and data.
Does anybody have questions about the data? I mean, make sure you've kind of got a good picture here and.
And you can see there's different ways to do this.
Right,
Mhm.
And some offer stipends, some don't.
right.
There's no hard set, rule like, oh, there's a pattern here that everybody kind of offers this or that. The only one I can see is that everybody pays someone
Yeah.
to.
Way out of whack.
Literally it, right?
How many council members? Is there a column on here about how many council members per
It's
city?
identical, it's 7.
There's 7 too? How is Kent swinging $3,000? That's,
Well, it sounds like they recently adjusted, right? So maybe, and they are big,
They're big. and
they're a big city, right?
137,000,
Yeah.
and actually,
because they're so big.
one thing, can we go on this one? I was trying to look at the data in different ways and using that base of the 70 hours per month that we reached per hour, and I used that, and I correlated that to the size of the population, right? To figure out like an hourly rate, right? And Kent actually is not the most egregious one. It's kind of in line with everybody else.
Mm.
The biggest outlier is Tequila. So the hourly rate by population and the 70 hours per month came out at 95.52 per hour for council members, right? When Kent is at 25.53.
And that was,
Issaquah is at 18.12, right? Dollars an hour, right? And that's,
what were your parameters? You're taking population and
so the 70 hours a week, you take population, that
That's
was it. So by the population, and then use that as a percentage against the, population of Issaquah, compare the 70 times that, then that gives you a percentage of, Issaquah as a percentage of the population of each city, multiply that by the 70 hours, and that gives you a total of number of hours for a council member.
Draw that up on the board, because I don't think I'm tracking.
what's the 70
It's the average number that we received from our survey.
of
70
hours
hours
worked?
a month.
A month, a month. okay.
Yeah, a month.
And that's not surprising that Tukwila would have, isn't that one
Yeah,
city that
Tukwila
you,
is a
when you get
giant
counts
mall,
back,
so it's-
that you
Yeah.
see,
Yeah,
the data doesn't necessarily, match your expectations. but
yeah,
it's valuable data. so-
that's exactly
Makes
right.
sense.
So Tukwila on the staff side,
Yeah.
tends to pay more than people would think. They
Yeah.
pay a lot for staff,
Mhm.
whereas Bellevue doesn't a lot of the times, and that's not an expectation that people have, but that is kind of how they run their operations.
Then
so.
there's cultural things, city cultures, where there's some cities tend to pay, that's what they do in their employee culture, and others tend not to do it. There's also the situation on the ground, so Kent, like, I'm guessing, if you go digging into all the budgets, a very high public safety budget per capita compared to other cities, because they kind of have to.
The city splits up though, from the valley to the to the west, yeah, but from the valley to the west, I'm sorry, I did it wrong again. From the valley to the west is much more public safety
Yeah.
focused than from the valley to the east.
East of Cook County, but it's all in the city limits, so I'm just trying to look. at
Yeah,
the,
But when they talk about the
budget.
crime up by the prison or on the east side, the west side, it's like a whole different city. I swear I know my direction.
It is, but you look at like here, we don't have any of that, really.
It's the same all the way
We've
through.
always had a pretty much lower per capita public
Yeah.
safety costs, as does some other cities east of here.
Yeah. So it's 70 hours per month,
That was kind of the,
so you work less than
Yeah, it is
a
very-
part-time, because we figured 20 hours a week.
we,
That would be 80 hours.
So at 70 hours per month, right? Using
Okay.
that calculation by the correlation of population, right? Issaquah having 29% of Kent, right? Then it's an extra 70%, so the amount of hours per month would be 118 for Kent. And is that it?
I see, they're
Yeah.
relative percentage to our side,
Exactly.
and that just creates a factor to.
Exactly, and then for Boston, then it comes out at 80 hours per month, right?
Right, and then you take the. actual-
Secret marker, so no one can see.
Yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah, so it makes the assumption that as population increases,
Oh, there we
the
go.
amount of hours worked.
That's not Sharpie, is it?
Right.
And then you got
Proportionally, which is
your
probably
monthly
not
salary, and
necessarily
you've
the
got-
case.
I don't
right?
Yeah.
That's how you
I know
get
who we
it.
call
That's a
it.
good one. So then,
Friend.
with that information, then I basically grabbed their salary, right? For each city and divided it, their monthly salary divided by the number of hours worked, and that's how I came out with the hourly rate for each. So that Kent, right, having this is a 3,000 a month, and Bothell was, somebody call it out?
13.
1,300, thank you. And this is 1,300. So per hour, right? Per hour for, Kent down here came out at the 25.53. 25.53, and Ball came out at 16.20, right? When Issaquah came out at Well, the 1812, which we have right now. 1812, right? Now, after doing that, I grabbed all of those hours for the 12 cities and averaged them out. And the average of hours for all the cities came out at 22.57, right? Dollars an hour, right? Then, and this is where I shared this little thing. I looked at some, I went into the MIT living wage, calculator. You go to. And so I went to the living wage calculator to find the cost of living for King County, right? And the hourly living wage for a single adult with no children in King County is $22.77, which is just 20 cents above that, right? And for me, that's my floor, right?
That's your what?
My floor. So if I grab this and then I multiply it by the 70 that we were discussing earlier, I come up with a per month of 1580, and that's just base, like the very base, right? Now.
And if, I know I would gravitate to looking at, is it 1040?
Yeah, about,
2257 times 1040. Well, if you take into consideration that the 2080 is hours per month,
Per year.
or per year.
Yeah.
And if you divide it by 2, you know, times that by that hour.
Yeah.
Should say 40 hours per month.
No, it's 20 hours a week, basically.
80 hours a month.
Well, 1040
80 hours.
would be 173 divided by 2.
yeah.
Well, yeah, you gotta take the
something or
2 extra.
86.67.
Yeah.
That's what it is, yeah. Mhm.
Another number that can be thrown in, and then that would be the floor.
So the 1812, is that just the 1250 divided by 70?
Correct.
Because I get a different number when I do that. And it's not greatly different, but I get 1786. That's just the phone calculator.
Oh, no, wait a second. No, you're right, because mine is not doing 70, it's doing 69.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was off by 1. Because 69 was the number specifically done, that we got for the council members. And then we got, I believe it was 72 and 71 or 73. And I just, for the multiplication of the rates, I just said 70 to multiply by the hourly rate to get there. But now, and that was the way I was looking at the numbers. That doesn't, and that's why I asked for the value of the
Mhm.
of the medical and
Yeah.
and of those benefits, because that would be added on top of that floor that I'm talking about, right? That in my mind, it'd be great to say, all right, 1580 is the bottom. Or if we multiply by 80, that number is the bottom, then what's the value of giving? Because if we can persuade all of them or half of them to join up, then okay, so give that benefit as, part of the salary, right?
Mhm.
And that hasn't, and that's just the salary consideration to start. Then we have the COLA conversation, which again, we have to go through the work that you guys did.
Yeah.
Through that, to start aligning,
Look for all the other choices, right?
right? Because I also, the next part of all the mess of numbers I ran was, COLA considerations with looking at CPIU and CPIW separately from 2013 now. So basically grabbing that number and throwing it, if it's 2013, let me look ahead 10 years, what is it gonna look like with, if we apply the same numbers? With one caveat though. It would never exceed 3.5%. And I grabbed that 3.5 because I read it in a different city that they have a COLA of 3.5 somewhere, and I said, okay, that's our ceiling. If CPI U or W goes above that, we cap it at
What are
3.5.
those acronyms? C?
It's, CPI, CPIU,
Consumer price.
Consumer
Index.
Price Index.
Yeah.
U is for all urban workers, and CPIW is for just the clerical workers and,
U is all urban goods, so it's
Right.
actually like, milk and eggs and that kind of
Right.
thing. W is wages, so
Wages.
it's, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot.
So I'm partial for doing the goods, because that's where you tie more of inflation to, right? So, but again, looking at that,
As we get into the process
Right.
here, 'cause we'll look at that category again and start talking about what people think is a good idea and why.
Right.
So let's see, are you down with the presentation?
Yes.
Or-
Do you
Yeah.
want,
Okay, well then that does take us right, nice segue.
do you want me to show your other document, or did you want to do that? would you like?
Yeah, I can do
The
it.
questions?
So let me grab my little piece. I will share.
Just put it up here for now, unless you want me to.
Yeah, we'll go through the slides and then when we get to the worksheet, I'll share that.
Okay.
I have a question. Does the city do salary reviews for all employees every year? Or when does that happen?
Yeah, so, for all of our union staff, we do it every time we have a new contract, which is every 2 to 3 years. And for our non-rep staff, our goal is every other year, basically. We're not on that schedule right now, but it is the goal, so within a 3-year period, kind of at a maximum.
And whenever that review occurs, the changes to salary goes into effect June, July 1st, January 1st, right?
Yeah.
All right, so first one here is, what are the cost of living increases that happened at the city staff in 2015? And what do we think will be the consensus for that? So maybe we just go through these slides real quick and then we'll repeat the process looking at the spreadsheet.
Okay.
Don't start getting everything twice, but so the first step is we're gonna look at that. Then we look at similar jurisdictions. Again, saying, are we in the zone? And then we'll look at this question about barriers to entry and equity. And that would be things like the stipend or childcare or some of the other things.
Okay.
Then consumer workload or consumer workload, so. Yeah, I mean, we found some things there from the last survey, but we'll talk about that. Then again, non-salary benefits. And we just talked about that, unreimbursed expenses. And how to adjust that. And then we want to talk about the budget implications, if any of the numbers are big. Just so we're understanding that. I think we have a good feel from what we learned from finance. We can talk about it again, and then at the end, of course, we have to decide when, the immediate or future. And then, this is what we were just talking about. What kind of COLA, if there is one, are they fixed? Is it once? Is it frequently? Any future change process. And then collate all that stuff. And then the last thing is a communications plan. So how are we going to get feedback from the draft plans? So hopefully we get the draft findings by the end of this meeting. Or at least enough material so they can put together what the draft findings are, and we can take it around on the communication wagon. And see what kind of reaction we get.
And when you say that, that's using our communication team to push it out through social media, other groups or organizations that might be interested in this, and ask for input and ask them to share their voice either through email, through coming to the public hearing, or sharing their thoughts with staff that we can share it back to you.
Yeah, in the old days, this call report had somebody sitting right here, and then you put it in the paper, and you'd get plenty of response, but those days are over. So that's a DIY, if you will. All right, do we have a cable so I can share anything? That spreadsheet. Oops.
No.
So are we starting with the first question? What's happening?
He's gonna open a different document that will help track and then facilitate discussion. So we'll give him a moment to.
Let's see here, go back one. Okay, so. I'll just do it in the browser to avoid asking. Okay, so. Basically have these different categories. The first section here is salary.
Can you,
Make it
make
bigger.
it a lot bigger,
Yeah.
the bottom corner, or just do control plus?
Yeah.
I have an inkling that your autocorrect hates me.
Yeah, you wanna change his name? BELLO, no W.
Spell check.
Hello.
Oh, like a cello.
Yeah, because I had to train mine to remember my name.
Yes.
Okay, so first we've got council member, the base salary, if you will. And what are we thinking here? Has everybody got some feel for what they want to talk about? Again, we'll go back to.
Can I ask a question first?
Yeah.
Lauren, and maybe Chris?
Yeah.
So on this, this with the cost of living,
Yeah,
there's city COLA, CPIW, CPIU. Is city COLA the negotiated amount with the unions? What is city COLA?
it's actually what we gave to our non-represented groups, since they're sort of most similar to city council.
Okay.
But yeah, our non-represented groups, we don't have a formula that we use. It's kind of a every year, look at what everybody else is doing, look at what CPI is, and kind of what our budget's doing and come up with a number.
So that would include factors, not just cost of living, but general market trends and
Yes.
everything else.
So I pulled up Social Security and they plan on giving an 8.7% COLA this year.
Yeah.
But last year, which is effective now, was 5.9.
And COLA's been below 2.
Yeah. I know, I wasn't getting COLAs every, but
But so for the
Medicare.
unions, Lauren, is it always the same COLA number? Do each of the unions have the same COLA number, or does it vary by contract?
Right now, they're all the same. They're not always all the same. And right now, actually, everybody in the city is the same. We do use CPIU typically as a driver, and we'll put typically a floor and a ceiling on it. So like next year, all of our contracts say minimum 2, maximum 4, looking at CPIU. But we don't, like some cities do like a 90% of CPIU, and that's what they always do. We don't have anything like that. It's always kind of year by year. that gauge of budget and, you know, cost of living and coming up with a number that we feel like we can afford.
The reason, and this is for everybody, the reason I'm asking these questions is there's really two times when we're considering COLA. One is to what extent it should determine the immediate increase, and then to what extent it should determine future increases. And
Well,
I have a small concern that we don't want to put the council members out ahead of what they have approved for the unions. Because that can create problems for these two folks here.
I don't think my unions will list a contract lasts for X number of years. That would be, if you really, I think more comparable is the exempt rate, which is kind of set based on budgetary conditions as well as what the market is doing. So they have to sit there and go, well, we don't want everybody to quit, so we have to do something. But there have been years when things were rough. We were already looking at cutting staff, or we just said, there's gonna be no COLA. I don't care what Social Security says. We can't do it. Because every COLA, 4% might mean we have to cut 2 people that we could otherwise keep. And so generally, everybody
But
so, you know, cutting will do that, but that's usually only exempt, you know, because the contracts are contracts. You can't.
But you're definitely right in the sense that if this commission sets a very high COLA, for example, you know, well, I'm just gonna pick a number out of the air, 10%, and that's what we're always doing for council. When we go and bargain our union contracts, they're gonna say 10%, here you go, you know,
Yeah.
that's what we're giving our council, that's what we get to get to. And that's just totally rational logic that we can't afford that citywide, you know, we can afford it for 7 people, we can't. So,
I'm gonna come out and say match exempt employee. Whatever that ends up happening that year. With it, then there's another caveat I'll get to in a second. Just to clear up anything complicated, I can't spell.
And this is John Only's proposal under
Right,
his
see,
name.
and then in each box we'll put one in for people. Then it's 0 if layoffs happen in budget cycle.
And your match would include the floor and the ceiling?
No.
Well, I guess because that's determined on a year by year basis.
You know, every budget has a number
Got
for exempt employees.
Yeah.
And my point is, there could be a year where they're doing layoffs, but they still give a 2%. Because they thought 0 would be too high risk. They don't want to mass exodus, but they have to make some cuts. All right, so this gives cover to the council if they're not getting any COLA if they're cutting staff.
Sure.
So they avoid that awkward scenario. But if everything's just floating along like the last 2 years, they get the same thing in staff.
Right, because I mean, a provision could be set, right, on the COLA that says can be annulled by council vote or something, right? Like if we say like, oh, council votes to override the COLA for this year or this bi-yearly increase for whatever reason, they have the purview to do that, right? We could add that provision. We give them an out, but it's their call.
Can we delegate our authority to them?
I don't know, I'm just trying to, they can't really make any decision on this unless we put it in there, but that's still awkward. And I think if there's a moral hazard or ethical hazard, if they're voting for their own. Or not. So.
Right, no, but I mean, well, no, I mean, we would say which CPI it is, it's just the yes or no, that it happens or doesn't happen, right? And then, again, if they're voting to keep it when we're still laying off, then yes, somebody should set fire to that county, right?
can I ask a purely operational question about this? So, We normally set a COLA, the prior year, it goes into effect January 1. Layoffs could happen any time of year, depending on economic conditions. I'm thinking COVID, right? So it would be, that was like a May layoffs kind of scenario. Are we going backwards and taking away COLA? Are we
No.
pushing
No,
it off
you
the
can't.
next
It's
year?
the year to year. So this is the council votes on the budget. If there's layoffs because of COVID, the council isn't voting on that. It's executive just decides we ain't got the money. And they have to take action. So they tell the council's informed, but they're not really voting on it. They just vote on budgets.
Okay.
So, this gives them the cover that if they voted for a budget that has a COLA, that's what they get. But if the budget they propose has cuts, major cuts in departments or whatever, layoffs, because you can tell by reading the budget whether there's layoffs or not, well, then they don't get it. That's,
Doesn't it
So-
also tie a little bit to their vote on the COLA in a sense? Like, you get it that it's gonna be the COLA for the entire population of the exempt employees, but should it be tied? Let's say that they get the same
I
adjustment,
think it's better than us trying to pick something that, because that COLA they get to exempt employees is definitely based on economic conditions. And that's an easy way for us to get that without having to stay it.
I think that's
But
great.
it's almost like a conflict of interest for them to, let's say, not suggesting that anybody is acting on that, but like,
Extremely unlikely. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I like the idea because it does allow for considerations of things other than the pure percentage CPI change, the economic conditions, projections. And I don't think anyone's gonna argue that the difference in dollars that results for these 7 people is gonna drive a decision for the larger group.
And this is the same that the mayor would receive. Mayor receives COLA.
The staff number,
Mhm.
whatever it is for
Yeah.
exempt staff.
the mayor, but the mayor doesn't vote, right, on those
No.
budget. I mean, there is,
But the mayor proposes.
It's the mayor's budget that has the CPI number, so the council doesn't pick that number, it just comes in the package from the mayor.
Mhm.
I've never seen them change that number. They change other things,
So,
And
CPI.
Has it ever-
So, just go around the room, so what we're gonna do is.
I'm sorry, yeah, can I ask one more question, Lauren? So has it ever been the case where the non-reps, COLA was greater than what was negotiated? with agents?
Yes, and the converse as well. Yeah, in certain circumstances.
I've seen mostly the contract, employees keep getting one when conditions shrank or eliminated the ones for the exempt staff. That's the most common scenario.
Say that again, John, I'm sorry.
Exempt staff get none or little, contract get what they get, so they're still getting it, and everybody else is. That's pretty common,
Right.
economic downturns.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting. I think a little different answer from Lauren.
Yeah, it's been both. And I just like the lens on that, police and just, recruiting issues and that kind of thing. So that's really driven some of the gap between a non-rep COLA and a police COLA might be somewhat different because we have to be very responsive to.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm not concerned if the labor COLA is greater than the non-rep COLA. It was the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah, that has occurred as well, because, again, it's like you said, a contract at a point in time. It's based on the economic conditions at the time. 2% might seem like a good number in 2021. It doesn't seem like a great number in 2023. So, it can happen.
Okay, so the way I wanna go through this, try to keep it semi-organized, disorganized, is we'll go around and each person will say what they think the number is for themselves. And
What we think, what?
number. So we'll just go there. First, we'll initially go and then we'll rotate who goes first. But first, Victor, what do you think the base council member salary should be?
A dollar amount.
Yes. And I've got the current ones. on top.
Yeah.
Based on what you've heard so far.
and it's just like for
1600.
purpose of discussion,
I
right?
mean, and again, that's my floor. I would love to know the salary, but I think that comes later, I'm sorry, the benefit numbers. I wanna say 1,600.
Okay, Yoga?
I'd say 1,800 and considering, but I really talking about the base salary.
Right, and then we'll go
Is
through
this-
how much more each deputy and president should get. That's a different discussion. So right now it's just, what's the base rate?
And here considering the fact also that, let's say,
This
we
is the-
don't offer medical,
This is for council.
dental and vision for council, right?
Yeah,
Because if
that's
this,
gonna be over here, so.
But let's say-
This other stuff that we wanna add in, see, there's always other categories. But we can add another category if it's missing. And then when we get done going through all that, we wanna take a sanity check and go back and say, okay,
so I'd say this like 1,800, considering that I don't think we're gonna offer medical, or I think they shouldn't offer given all the complications, so there should be some compensation with that. I'd say base salary should go up to, all things considered, to 1,800.
I'm saying 1,500 for that column.
1,500, okay? I
Oh,
got
Let
bad
John
mouse,
catch up.
the mouse is out of control.
So, and then,
Henry,
1,700.
but I'm not saying across the board though.
well, we'll get there,
Okay.
because we have to put in this column, deputy.
Oh.
Right, and that'll just add it, and we'll throw this number here, like it did in the top row, right? They get 100 now, 200 for president. I guess we gotta make up a number, so I am also in this. 100.
What's the 100 and 200? Don't talk.
That is the bonus for being deputy or president.
Oh, okay.
So now we'll start with Jogo. What do you think the bonus should be for deputy? Right now it's $100.
What's,
In comparable cities, it was higher.
Walk around the room, do what you need to do.
Go back to that.
Oh, cause here we have just all in. I don't know,
I don't
maybe,
get the question.
I would say 130.
Yeah, it's like this one was $500 for president. And let's see, we've got Auburn. It's a range, right?
Right. I mean,
But. nobody's-
yeah, we can go back in, but my thinking here is that from the survey and all, it didn't seem like the deputy had a significantly different role than the, and the council president, on the other hand, had a more clearly established permanent,
I think, did you say 130?
yeah,
Do you
130.
remember?
Okay. Linda?
Is that the increase? I
It's the deputy,
still don't
how much
understand the
more
column.
should the deputy get? On
So
top of
the
1,500?
deputy would get, let's say, in my suggestion there,
Oh, a bump.
1,930,
Oh,
right?
my bump would be 275.
And Henry?
I would stick with the 100, that has been in place for a while, in part because they rotate around and they take turns doing it. And so while it's a bigger burden for a period of time, everybody's gonna share that burden.
I'll go 150, Victor.
175.
Okay, and now
Right.
Linda's up first. What do you think about the president? How much more should the pres get?
Well, I had that for 300.
300?
I'll say 300 too.
Henry?
200.
Same as it is now, okay.
Yes.
I was going to go for 300. Victor
350.
and Joe,
300.
300. All right. Next up, we've got COLA. Session. Here.
You might want to ask this one as a yes. And if yes, then do you have what? Might help. That way you have a sense of, at this point with the knowledge that you have, are you not interested in
Yeah,
COLA or are you? And if so, what would that look like?
so Henry's up first.
I say yes, my inclination is to put for 5 years. To sort of push that there be another commission set up.
Yeah.
Rather than just let it operate automatically forever.
A year limit. And what rate?
I like your second your suggestion. When we get down to details, I think we need to think about timing for more reasons, but it's a good concept.
Okay, you heard mine already. Victor?
I like the idea of tying it to, exempt, employee rate. I think we should cap it. Because in the last 10 years was the highest the exempt employee rate has been
6%.
6%, yeah. I think we should still cap it. Or like 3%. Elected officials do the work in part because of their, desire to give back to the community, right?
That's what they said yesterday.
So I would say that, tie it to that, but cap it at a number, 3% sounds okay to me. And of course, 0 if there's, layoffs.
Yeah, it's the match. They match that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I still think somebody should get an appeals switch. Maybe you should give it to Lauren. And the power to kill.
No, thank
It's
you.
to kill
Yes.
Joe, what do you think about?
Yeah.
COLA?
Sort of have it when
I'd say, yeah, definitely not like setting by us any percentage. I'll be against that, but if it is the matching the exempt employee, I think so. And I agree there should be some form of capping. I don't know if I would say even a setting, maybe should be like, if they don't get it, also if there is, the tax revenue didn't go up in the year or stayed flat, just kind of have,
Tie it to performance.
no, wouldn't, don't know who the judge performance.
If it wasn't so difficult, I'd still say tie it to some kind of performance, but we can't do it.
I mean, it's a political job, so I think it's not,
Yeah.
there's no performance that is
The city's
unbiased.
performance. The city's performance. If the city goes broke, they should not give them a raise.
Yeah.
But the city's not a for-profit operation,
I
right?
know.
If the city goes broke, we have bigger problems. than-
Yeah, I would say like,
How we could do it, but it
Right,
just seems
right.
like it should be
Yeah.
tied to performance, but
or at least say they don't get it if the city's not getting more money this year, something like that. I think maybe just to, only in the spirit
Yeah,
of like,
no, I
it's
agree.
different than the employees,
Mhm.
this it's symbolically my, yeah. So I'd say put some other 0 budget layoffs or no, tied to the tax revenue increases too, somehow. Open to discuss
Yeah,
details,
That's
but
got, that's.
It's one, I think that's
It's,
fair
it's
to
viable.
list.
So instead of 0 as budget layoffs, it would be
0 if multiple possibilities, budget layoffs,
revenue.
no, tax revenue for the city has remained flat.
See, and like, And that's why I think like, if you give somebody an out or a kill switch, they can evaluate all of this stuff and say like, yeah, this is not the year for call, right? And then cut it at that. And Henry's right, we're already tying it to the exempt, employee rate. So if that doesn't happen, it automatically doesn't happen, but what if there's an extra thing, right? Like you're saying, like tying it to multiple things that don't really need to be impacted by the exempt rate, and it can still get, canceled, right?
So you could either tie it to revenue, or you could tie it to layoffs, or you could tie it to both. Or you
Right.
could tie it to nothing. I mean, that's, we have,
And what I hear is that you just want another mechanism to
Yeah,
tie into. So I think if we keep going, we'll.
Well, I say match, but it has to be capped at year 3 or stopped at month 3. That forces the council to not wait another 9 years to get the commission together.
So 3 instead of 5.
Yeah, 3 instead of the 5, but like Henry's. And I don't think they should ever get a 0. Because they're almost, thinking the pandemic, it's like they were essential employees. Their city was still running. Right, and they were there. I don't think they should get a 0
so
ever.
just match the employee rate. So
Match the
if you
employee
get
rate.
0, you get 0.
Yeah.
Fair, but-
Oh,
And
okay,
I've been
Right,
in too.
smash the rate.
We're footing, going
Yeah.
back too far.
But
No,
3 years,
no,
so it's-
3 years.
But are you saying then that even if the exempt employees get 0,
I think
they should still get something?
Yeah, I do, because there's still, the layoff people went on unemployment and,
And some of our councils, you know, forewent their salaries. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's nice.
during the pandemic, there were several who,
Actually, cool.
not just the COLA, the whole
the
salary.
whole salary, as, and staff took,
Furloughs.
furloughs.
and- Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
In the event that there are, like, exempt employees don't get COLA that year, you guys still calculate? Would you still like, oh, if they were to get, here's the amount they would get? You go through those, no?
No. yeah.
So in the event that we say, oh, even when the employees are not getting any, the city council needs to, you still would need to do the calculation because we're tying it to that number, correct?
I think so, if I'm understanding you.
Depending on whose classification you're talking about, if you're asking them to match exempt, and exempt was 0, then council would get 0.
Right, no, but I'm talking about Linda's point
Yes.
that even if they're getting 0, the council should still get something, right? So if you're not making the calculation at that point, what are we tying it to? Because the calculation was made, it's 0. But, oh, they still need to get something, so what do we tie it to?
Could,
Oh,
They
I
get
think
last
part of
year's.
the point is it's not just the calculation, it's consideration of all the factors.
Right.
Yeah. If they say 0,
Got it.
they're.
The other
they haven't
reason-
done that same analysis.
The other reason I wanted to shorten that to 3 years is because inflation could get higher this year and then change up the whole playing field, or it could recover this year. And, right, because the COLA, like I said, for social security is gonna be 8.7. That's the biggest ever. I went back to 2015. So,
That's
just
for
saying that the
23.
playing field's gonna change.
They haven't announced 24 yet, so we'll see what that whole.
Yeah, it's just
Right.
changes. We don't know what's gonna happen.
Okay, and so frequency, we kind of said it here, you know, it's annual, right?
Would that be a good time for me to say, I think it ought to be July 1st, timing, so that the budget's approved and,
Budget's effective January here, right?
well, when is it approved for January 1st?
Usually November-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can go with January, or you can say, well, you got the 3-year limit.
I would still say if we're gonna make our first increase July 1st, I would pitch everything else to July 1st. So they don't get more than one increase in a year.
maybe we can just skip the next one. Yeah,
Yeah, we can make the thing January 1st and just go every other
Yeah, I
year.
think the calendar year works, because even, you know, when there's an election, you're not in the job until January 1st. So as long as that's part of the budget.
And we could say that it's like the first adjustment will be,
$10 back to something like that.
That's a different.
no,
When does this whole thing
Right.
start? And we can
no,
say.
so let's say it's not gonna be January 1st of 2024, it's gonna be the first adjustment is gonna be for January 1st, 2025 also.
We also didn't have a year and a half of COLA. Right?
No,
That makes it more complicated.
I mean.
No, just one year,
we
that-
can-
that
we
one
can-
year.
So when we determine the COLA, if we decide to do, let's say the 1,800, we pick 1,800 and we say, okay, it's gonna start on January 1st. Then let's have 6 months of COLA to that, then it's not 1,800, it's 1,800 plus the 0.5%. Make that then, and then the first COLA adjustment goes the next day. But then the COLA adjustment goes every other year anyways, right?
Every year,
Oh, it happens every year.
every year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I would caution
Yeah.
against doing a half year COLA because the numbers, that's swing wildly in half,
But
in smaller.
there wouldn't be a half year COLA.
No, exactly, no. I mean, we say, we look at the.
Just
at
factor
last
that on the
year's-
base salary,
Right,
one thinking of it so that then, so that let's say there will be, a year and a half would transpire, they would only get a year of COLA adjustment. And
Mhm.
so that is not a big deal,
Right.
just consider that one.
to offset it a
salary.
little bit, is what
Yeah.
I'm saying, right?
We're setting this base rate in the first column,
Yeah, just
which is what they would get effective date if we say it's effective July.
July.
And then the next January, they get whatever's in the budget for the COLA across what everybody else gets. And it just goes on from there every January.
Or just next year, this first. There will be no adjustment for them January 1st, 2024, because they just got an adjustment now and the first COLA adjustment.
Yeah, I mean, my desire is to avoid 2 increases in 1 year. So that would
Right.
solve that.
Yeah.
We're using.
Which makes
each
sense.
year Would solve it. There's different ways to solve it.
You
I just don't want to get 2 increases.
do a jump from
Right.
the market
Because nobody else
adjustment
considers it.
essentially.
Right.
in
Yeah,
July,
that's
and then
fine.
you're gonna
I
pull it
mean,
immediately in
I would
January.
prefer just to say,
Just have it as a-
well, yeah, I'm fine with
It's
whatever.
like, yeah.
Because I mean, if we
It's
just
12
say
months.
like, oh, this 1,800 goes in effect on January 1st of 2024, and then their first COLA thing happens on January 1st, 2025, then okay, it's every year, and we don't get that. Just one increase per year.
Yeah.
Or if you wanna do the July 1st and then have them wait a year and a half for the COLA to kick in.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. So like the first actual COLA they'd see would be January 24.
Yep.
25.
25, yeah.
25? Oh, yeah, 25.
And I'm fine with that, or doing July 1st, either way. I'm fine with it.
If we do July 1st, they see the extra 6 months, at least the 6 months of increase, right?
Yeah, so they don't need it again. You're right. So I see it. I see what you're saying. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Everybody else? Linda, or yeah, like that? Yes, no.
What?
You agree with this?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do agree with this.
Okay, so I guess everybody's kind of in that boat.
Wait, but you're saying the new salaries take effect July 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, no, that's
We
different.
haven't talked about that yet.
That's a different column. When is the base rate?
We have to decide that too.
Oh, okay, but the COLA is starting January.
The
20.
COLA starts 2025.
Okay.
And I like the way Excel just.
Yeah, you put me in a bad position there, Tom.
Okay.
You just love how Excel things where it says like that?
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Okay, so 47, which is essentially 401K. And
But we
currently
have-
don't have it, right?
They are eligible to participate.
Oh, they are.
We have 0 participants
Correct.
And no
Um,
match.
and we provide $200 a month up to match
Yeah.
for
Employees.
employees. So would you like to consider this?
There's only one city that did the 4%, right? I can't find it now, but I remember that.
Yeah, just Renton.
Renton, right?
Everybody else it seems to be largely in the same boat we are now. They mostly offer it, but
Yeah.
don't have a match.
And this is the benefit that carries over if they decide to,
They could
even
cash it
go
out.
to a different city, they move to a different city, run for that city council, and then it carries over, right?
No, this is like a 401k, so they could roll it into something else. They could also
yeah,
cash it out if they.
Like they can roll it.
It's still their money.
Yeah. it's
But you might be
definitely-
thinking of PERS, where the vested years, if you go to work for another governmental.
Can continue.
Right, exactly.
I'd say
I'm okay
no
with
to the match.
If it's available to them already and nobody wants to take it, then I'm okay with keeping this one. Same time.
Well, but they're not taking it because there's a match, so.
Well, but there's no.
We don't
we
offer the
don't
match,
have-
they can
Oh,
participate, so that's what.
not a
it
match.
was. Do you
That's
wanna-
the, no.
No, see, they do, the city offers up to two
Yeah, I get
hundred.
that.
No, that's just for.
Two
Oh,
employees.
that's for employees.
Yeah, we don't offer, yeah. So that's the question, do we offer, because we have to.
Maybe that's confusing that the current city offers us.
We have to, sorry,
We would have to offer the same $200
It could,
if we offer any match at all to the city.
you actually could do any match that you wanted to, including, I think, a percentage match, but it
That
just
could
creates
impact.
some weird,
Yeah.
again, dynamics, yeah.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't go above the $200 match. If we're gonna
I
If we're
don't
gonna
care.
offer, let's offer the same as the rest of the employees, but,
Okay, let's see, I'll start, let's say yes, $200 match.
per month.
Monthly match.
that was gonna be my question. It's $200 per month or year. Let's be low if it's per year.
I guess it's officially up to,
And that's for full-time employees, right?
It is,
Why is
yeah.
it up to?
So,
that's how the law is for matching.
right,
If they only choose
Oh,
to
just say
convert
flat
100, they don't get 100.
You have to.
But you-
I see.
if they decide to do 500, they get 200 extra. Yeah. You can copy paste mine on that.
All right, so.
I'm good with that too.
Who's next here? Victor is here. Which one do you like that idea, 200?
Yeah.
Okay. And Jogo?
I'd say no because of part-time
Status
nature,
quo.
yeah.
We do prorate for part-timers, so if you're a part-time, you would get $100
I'm with Henry
match if
and
you were like a half-time
Victor.
employee.
So how?
I'm with these guys.
Could we
Okay.
still say up to
Match.
100 for these folks?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, there's no part-time city council members. They're already supposed to be part-time, more than I am.
And, it's entirely possible we won't see anybody to participate, even if we put the match in.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think I would. If somebody tells me free money, I'm gonna participate. I'll do the paperwork, so.
Right.
yeah,
You guys think we would not get participation?
I think we would. I think it's a no-brainer personally.
I think you would.
You wouldn't leave money in the
He
table.
was skeptical, weren't you?
What?
Are you skeptical that we would get participation?
No, I think you would get
No,
participation.
I thought I saw you checking.
Yeah.
okay, per meeting fee, so some cities do that, not many. About 10% of them.
You mean stipend, is that the
There's
per
a
meeting
travel
stipend?
stipend for
This
each
is
of
like
the
an
meetings.
attendance stipend, yeah. So.
You call it fee and I'm feeling like we're charging them per meeting.
All
That's a good money-making idea.
There's a revenue source for it.
All right, so Joe, per meeting fee, yes, no? If so, how
No,
much?
no.
Linda
No,
and Henry?
No.
And I'm saying no. Okay, that was easy.
We need Victor in there.
Victor.
That don't matter.
Okay, then we have this is that equity discussion we had for the last couple of meetings.
We can go back to that one too, if the other columns are easier.
Yeah, I mean, that would be like, you have to pick your poverty rate. And we gotta,
I think the only way that could come into play is if we
Put
put
it
a
in.
district-wide rate twice
Probably.
area.
so that one's kind of a, yeah, we'll go back to that, because that's gonna require you picking a poverty rate or whatever and say, if they're at this or less than.
Right.
Well,
Something.
would it make sense to
We
just get general,
Gauge general.
general up or down?
Yeah,
Okay, let's do that. So, let's see, who started last? So Linda's first,
No,
and Henry,
Yes.
I'm gonna be really.
I knew you were gonna do that. It's the mid thumb.
You have to make a decision.
No,
It's fine.
Yes,
It's always depends on that kind of stuff, to me.
I'll say
Yeah,
yes.
I agree.
I'll say yes, but I would rephrase it as low income stipend, rather than equity means a lot of things.
yeah, the shape it takes, we can discuss. That's another reason why I wanted this in front of you, because of the cost of living by, adults and children and whatnot is different. So we
Yeah,
can set
we'll
those.
probably base it on, if you're gonna do it, it'd be off of this somehow.
Right.
You also have to be practical, they don't want this finance to spend 10 hours every month trying to figure out who gets what.
Well, I think you qualify for the year. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
We can give some recommendations on it.
Okay, childcare. And let's see, who's up next? Henry.
No.
I'm gonna say yes.
No,
Although practically you may not be able to because the city doesn't offer it yet, so that may be impractical.
I will do yes on childcare.
I'd say no.
And then there was.
no,
And then we've got, I think they're currently getting internet at 600. Is that true?
600 a year.
51.
Yeah,
Per
50,
year.
yeah,
yeah.
And I believe 3 are participating.
expensing it. That is a fly, right?
It is.
That's
Just
like
a very large fly.
Yeah,
carpenter ones or something.
That's why you go to the gym.
I think you did.
oh, you think it's not bad, it's both? Okay, so now I'm scared.
It's huge.
Yeah, we have them in our house. Then the next morning I got up and it was on the floor and died on the floor outside the bedroom door. I was trying
For
to
internet?
all night, couldn't get in.
Yes, internet, yeah.
Yes.
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 Is yes, you want to change, you want to keep
No,
the status quo?
keeping it status quo.
Keep it.
Okay.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
all.
I don't know, ditto, whatever you said about.
So it just includes the amount.
But unchanged, I guess.
Status quo for me.
Okay, this is healthcare.
I want to give you guys some numbers.
Yes.
There is none,
There's a
right?
box and pens on the
Okay.
chair.
But
We'll pick a different color.
Okay, yeah, we can pick a very good. Okay, let's see. Jeez, okay. Okay, so. Medical, and these are based on kind of average plan, so we do have some different plan prices, but. Dental,
Is that the cost?
Monthly.
it's the cost to the city, so it's the full premium for just a council member, not for dependents.
Wow.
Per month, yes. And then let's see, and long-term benefits. So again, that's just the monthly cost, council member only. I can provide, full dependents as well, but I thought that's probably a good starting place.
this question here, John, is, do we want to offer medical benefits? Right?
Right.
And
No, for me.
they all have to,
It's at least half for medical. And
thank you.
So online.
So,
Yeah.
but this is just medical,
Okay, yeah.
great, thank you.
So,
So the full package, just so you know, we did the math, it's $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
If you did all of those. But if you look at other cities, they did like, maybe they did dental and vision, they didn't do healthcare.
mhm.
So big tip, so I'm gonna put a column for each. What you want, we'll start this one with Linda. So medical, dental, vision, or life insurance.
What would it cost for someone to go on the exchange
Oh,
and get
it's,
healthcare?
1,300
Yeah. It's
per
expensive.
person to do the package excluding life insurance and long distance care. Just mental, dental, vision, matching the city's package is.
Per month.
Per month. Cause I'm buying.
Minus life and LTV.
Or I was looking at it. I'm still on Cobra, which is a little bit less. But it's going to be, yeah, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do high deductible, but that's not, these numbers are not high deductible.
That's fair.
Right. No, because my thoughts here is that due to the, for medical, and dental is the same way, that they at least have to.
It's 75%.
Well, even
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
Now, if we. Now, the survey, I know that when we asked this from the council was pretty, there was this theme of dental and vision care. If I remember correctly, like a few of them at least said like, oh, I would join if there was dental and vision, right?
I don't remember.
But then, because I think that,
Medical,
what if we don't,
50%.
what if we don't offer it because it
50?
doesn't, but then we give them we cover the cost, this cost in the, for medical dental vision, we give them the cost, let them decide what to do with it.
So
Right.
maybe yours is no, but provide
No, but,
value,
but
stipend,
add it to
base.
the base, yes.
Like an
That's
add-on.
my, for medical, dental and vision.
Well,
So that's another $900 something to
Yeah.
base each month you want to
Yes.
raise?
yeah. So I'd rather cancel my
And we
personal
could, I'm
insurance
gonna,
and do
hold on,
that.
and we could do it to base, or it could be well, the stipend they need to apply for, correct? Or is a stipend just something that they just get?
I heard this as adding it to the base salary.
Right, no, yes, but my question is, if we, because we have three possibilities. We say yes to providing the medical and hoping that 75% of them get it, so that the ones that want it can enjoy it. Or we provide, we add that to the base, which if we add that to the, let's say, like, by going by the highest one, which is 1,800, it would be 2,800, which puts us in the top three, but not at the very top. And the very top is the one that actually did it just now, Kenny. Or we say this $1,000 is no 1,000, because I'm gonna say yes to life and let disability. The amount for that, we say, here's a stipend, right? For you to use for your healthcare. If they want it, right? If only one person wants it, they apply for it, they get it.
But that's a very
It's
generous
not fair, it's
stipend,
not
right?
sustainability.
Exactly, but the thing is, like, if you give the medical and then people say, I don't want it because I already have it for my job or whatever, then the people that really want it miss out.
Well, you're saying, so to qualify for it, you can't have insurance.
No.
Then it becomes cumulative, right? You could have a medical coverage already
Then I
and
would
then
just
get the
provide it
money
to
as
them.
well, right?
You're funding some other employer's health insurance at that point.
Yeah,
Would you want it to be?
I mean,
it's long-term disability, not long-term care.
Maybe not
Uh,
per dollar. but
Disability
some kind of-
care.
Right.
No, they're different.
I think they're
It
different.
is long-term disability.
Yeah.
Is it disability?
It's
Okay.
disability, yeah.
Cause they also have offer long-term care you can buy. but
We
just
do not
individual.
anymore.
Really?
Yes.
But it's coming back.
Thing now, yeah.
I thought it was
Um,
required by.
2020.
And again, it's, I guess it's a
Well,
moral
it's
question,
tax,
right?
yeah,
If
yeah,
I,
tax.
if I already have insurance with my employer and I'm offered a stipend for health
Mm-hmm.
insurance, I'm not gonna take it because I don't need it. But the people that do need it and want to enjoy it can have it. The problem with offering the benefit itself is that unless you convince 4 of the council members to get medical, then nobody gets medical, right? And then for the other 2, it works because you need 5 or 6 to be able to get dental and vision.
And that's yes.
But most of if they have health insurance through another employer, and it's a private sector employer, they're probably paying something
Yeah.
for that coverage. And so you would just as easily apply for the stipend and cover the premiums that you're paying to your employer.
Okay, and
So essentially,
what's wrong with that?
you're funding Microsoft or whoever's health insurance.
Yeah, you're paying my premium.
And we're getting a council member that, you know, is giving back to the community, or like, I mean, I'm missing something. I don't,
Yeah.
it's still a benefit for the council member, right?
Well, so,
And I think it's the price to pay for the 4 people that really want and need the insurance to get it this way, as opposed to saying it's a benefit and then everybody's screwed.
well, I don't know that there's 4 people who really want to need it. I don't think that's what our survey showed. But I mean, I guess I should say, I'm not in favor of giving them any medical insurance. I think our money is better spent towards some of the other things we got on here.
Where more people are gonna take it.
Yeah, and the cost of it is, you know, it's like a 60, well, that is not good, but 60 or 70% increase over what they're currently getting.
Yeah, and
On top of what we're already talking about.
I understand, but then I go back to the widening the pool conversation where do we want to prevent people from coming and showing up to try to, you know, run for city council just because, oh man, I need my insurance, I can't do this, right? Give them the option, right? The people that don't need it or whatever, they're not gonna get the stipend. The people that do can enjoy it.
So
Right?
that's why I'm in favor of the low income stipend, to deepen the pool or broaden the pool, but not based on insurance. I think that can distort who we get, as opposed to a more targeted approach, which I think the low income stipend does.
I think it's.
I'm not saying that it's one or the other. I'm
So I
saying-
know, for me it is. I know you're not saying.
It's a good point though, because you look at participation rates, they'll never meet those. So we can't offer the insurance like an employee. Because you have to have half or more just to get medical,
Yeah,
75%.
and that's
So
my
that's
point.
what the Victor's proposal was to like just give
So
them
you can hand
money.
them cash.
Yeah,
And that was my proposal, either add the cash to the base or as a stipend that they can then apply to. Because if we only have to pay a stipend to 3 people, then we save 4 people's work. But those 3 people can use that money to go to the exchange and get their insurance and, you know.
But I don't want to give a stipend to someone who has insurance at Microsoft and is getting, $500,000 salary. That's why I'm more focused on the low income stipend.
So what if we,
I wish Rachel was here, but I think that we can make a stipulation then saying, for you to be able to apply for this stipend, you can be already insured. Would that make me more comfortable for you? If we said that, can we say that?
I don't know.
I think we can.
What if next year they come in and say, I got a new job and now the insurance at the new job is better, so I need to change mine out.
I think that's what
So that's a
That's
business.
fine, because the stipend you apply to month to month,
I
right?
imagine
Most
We'd
likely.
have to
yeah.
define the rules, right? No?
There would have to be rules, yeah, I mean, we'd have to know when somebody lost insurance. We'd have to
We can do
decide if
somewhere.
somebody lost insurance
I do
mid-month.
this in my life, like I lose insurance, I go to Cobra, I do this, like, I mean, it's just,
I'll be open to,
Well,
as John proposed there,
I like
to
this
build that
simplicity
into
of
the,
what I'm saying, which is. we
So
have
does-
The amount is gonna be a little weird, don't know what that is, but a low income stipend versus insurance, so there might be two if you're low income.
two criteria.
One is
exactly.
just the salary, and the other one, oh, and if you want
if you don't have
insurance, you just
insurance.
send us the, and we'll pay up to something. We gotta
Yeah.
figure out a number, but
I'm open to that
if
idea.
you look on the market, you can see like high deductible insurance rates. We'll cover that. I don't know, that's just an idea.
Yeah.
There's Medicaid, I mean, Apple Care, does provide some of that space, but yeah.
So some of that's pretty low premiums, but even Apple Care, they can't necessarily afford it if they're low income, but so if we cover Apple Care, that's a
There
big
you
benefit.
go. Yeah, I'm definitely open to that. The city will cover the cost of Medicare or Apple
alright,
Care.
so to answer
Yeah,
this
that
question,
actually would be a good, an easier way to do it, because if somebody already qualified for Apple Care, then that would, be, we don't need to go through an
To
extra
go in
proof
eligibility.
process,
Yeah.
yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, that could just be one of the criteria for the low income stipend.
yeah.
Who
Prove what you're
offers Apple
paying each
Care?
month, and then, yeah.
It's offered by Medicaid, which is paid for by federal money funneled through the state. So the state offers that insurance called Apple Care, which most Medicaid in the US goes to the state, and the state puts together the program.
God, this is just.
Unless you're like Florida or some other states where they have tough to be poor, sorry, they don't offer much. But
Yeah.
most states on the west coast, east coast have something like this.
I would go with that proposal. So,
Okay. So,
No,
no. And Henry?
Yes, but we need to coordinate the low income stipend idea that we have.
That's part of.
So
our
we coordinate,
conversation, yeah. Okay, and then dental, this stuff, I don't know if that's even in Apple Care at all. I think it's just medical, isn't it?
I don't know the answer to that.
Apple Care has dental and vision,
Dental.
yes. My parents have that. Or had that when they were living here.
So, yeah, I get to see that, it's just all part of it. I don't know about vision, I don't know if there's probably some base level vision covered by it too. And there's no.
No.
Okay, and I don't know about vision.
Well, you changed Victor's answer on the medical to.
I'm fine with that.
No,
actually.
okay.
It's fine if you die to the low. income.
Using the same wording as everybody else, but he was an income base as well.
Yeah.
Stipend.
Mhm.
So is vision in an Apple Care offering? I don't know. I don't
Yes.
think it's possible.
Google.
And then life insurance, that is, no, we can't really do that, right?
Well,
It's
license-
100%.
it's not.
No, actually, yeah, I'm gonna say yes to that and the long-term disability
Is this
because.
the really cheap one you thought?
Because the premiums are 100% paid by the city.
Yeah. And it's not, participation isn't required 100%, right?
It is, yeah,
It is required, but like, the city pays for it, so
Yeah.
it can be part of the package, like.
yes, yeah,
Would anybody say no to that?
I mean, they couldn't, but why would
Why
you,
would
you
they?
I don't
know?
know, well, I know, but would anybody say, no, I don't want your life insurance policy?
I don't
I wanna die and put my family in debt. I don't know.
It's okay, we get the life insurance and the city is the beneficiary.
So Henry?
I say no. I don't think it's going to move the needle on anything we're trying to accomplish.
All right,
Well, does it hurt it?
No, it's money. I'd rather spend it in other ways.
Okay.
Joe, life insurance, yes, no, maybe,
Yes.
It's pretty cheap. This one is not available, I don't think.
No,
It is,
same.
it's the same.
It's
Same.
50.
Fairly low for
Yeah.
them.
Well,
It's $50.
$50.
Yeah,
so it's,
Not as cheap as like
Mhm.
5 times.
yeah.
right.
Okay, so I don't know, Victor, were you on long-term care?
Yes,
Disability.
Disability, sorry. Stuck in my head. Diego?
Yes,
I mean, yes,
No. Right? Oops. That's not on there. And also no, not cheap enough, sorry.
so on vision, just FYI, like, look here, healthcare, Access Washington Gov, can I get vision care under Apple Health? Yes, certain vision services are covered. Then there's a list of the kind of services that is from the Washington State website, said yes.
All right, well, I'll go for that. Henry? Basically the same model as medical and dental.
Yes.
I thought we already did vision.
We skipped over, because we didn't know if we could even get it. Apple Care, if it was
Oh.
available Medicare paid.
Still no.
Say yes.
And Victor.
yes, same.
Okay, now we're going on to reimbursing expenses. So what is the current status? Yes, but not much participation.
I say status quo.
Same here.
Just because it's a hassle.
Well, and they're not doing what they need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need to report that.
Yeah.
I would say status quo.
Not only that, the amount of like expenditure of 50,000.
Okay, let's see, am I missing a category? Other things we can offer. Okay, how about effective date?
I thought that was provided in the law, no?
No.
No?
No, you get to
We
determine.
have to have a decision by a certain
By,
date.
but the.
The Commission of 2015 set their effective date for July 1st. Now, there is a 30-day window from the time that you file your report with the clerk that is subject to referendum. So, but you learn that really quickly if it's going to be a problem or not. But you could have January 1, you could have
Right, okay.
some other date.
Okay, Victor.
Oh, yeah, July 1st. And we deferred the colon to January 1st, 2025, correct? Yeah, they can wait, wait till you take 3 months.
Same, July 1st.
Same?
Same.
Okay.
It's increasing the year.
Oh, nice. Good.
And that would be for base salary. Some of the other benefits might take a little bit longer to put into place.
Yeah, that is a good point. So, a stipend program, I mean, we'll need to kind of work
Some
out some
time.
details. If there were like, yeah, if we did decide to add medical or something, yes, we would have to do an open enrollment period and all that, so.
But you have time, because none of the current council members qualified.
So maybe,
So,
about
but
July
there's an
1st,
election
or
coming, and there could be.
What about,
July 1st for base salary, January
Well,
1st for
that's-
fringe benefits, to
Okay.
keep it simple,
That's
give them more
good.
time, right?
It's possible, yeah, I
I
don't know.
want to say no. So base salary, effective dates here, and then.
January 1st for everything else.
Stipends
that would be
January
helpful.
1st,
Yeah.
That would be helpful. Consider it.
even base, so every.
No, base would be July 1st.
and everything else,
Anything else we decide would be January 1st.
yeah, I'm cool with that. That is not a flag.
That's not.
Wow, you really don't want that, huh? That's a way to like not get your way without disagreeing with it. Like,
No,
I
it looks
disagree
like
with
a
100 years.
Right, that's a weird
No.
No, it's
People
just,
talk different.
it's a
And I'm
big
trying to
bee,
hunt it, so it's not.
friendly bee.
Yeah, fuzzy bee.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about movie.
Henry, you agree with that?
I do.
Yeah. Linda?
I know on benefits and the stipends for the benefits, so I don't
Okay,
know.
So then I'll just.
I would say benefits can start January 1.
Salary changes. And there's no.
Well, benefits can be January 1. Sorry to be the square peg on this one, but
We need you.
No, and
it's
there's,
not a job. We're not hiring for an employment. They showed up to volunteer for this. They were elected into position. It's not a charity. So
Yeah.
bring your own benefits.
Okay.
That narrows the pool. That's my problem
It
with that.
doesn't narrow the pool. The pool is open to anybody that wants to come in,
And has their own benefits.
or they can buy from the state, whatever they're doing now.
So when is the next, look at compensation for them? So I saw back here, we had what, 5-year
I think it
caps,
should be 40.
3-year caps. So this is where we say, when's the next time somebody's got to convene and think about this stuff?
that could be a recommendation. And it could come into place depending on how if the COLA item
Expires.
lines up or expires, so it's
Oh,
So we're 2020.
not one that we have, that you would have influence, control over, but you could certainly influence through recommending.
yeah, that's right. You've got all these different dates going when they come into well, when they're elected in November, they still start January 1.
Why do we have to cap it at 5 years?
You can say nothing, or you can say.
Yeah.
Dates.
I don't limit either. I mean, like, let
Well,
the
it's not
council
copy.
decide when they feel it's due and.
It's,
Well,
When
the
the
reason I
commission-
suggested the capital finders on the COLA was to make sure that they did take a look at it. So
Yeah.
they didn't just let it run without an independent salary commission forever. Because that can happen if they're getting increases.
Sure. But if it's proper and it's doing this job, then why call a commission, you know? Like, let the council can judge that and even say like, yeah, we're.
I would say because it's political representation.
Yeah. So Henry's saying 5 years, and that would put us in 2028.
Well, the first
yeah,
COLA will be 2025, so it actually would be 2030, right?
Yeah, true.
oh, if it was 5 years.
Or the spring of
So you're
2029.
not saying 5 years, you're saying 5 COLA increases.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so if the last
But to be
COLA,
honest, I don't care.
Right.
I can agree with it for 3 years too, as long as there's some cap, some reasonable.
right,
cap.
so the last one would be, yeah, let's say 5 years. It would be 2030 would be the last one. And then if they wait 8 years, so 2038 would be the next coming.
Could be,
After that, yeah.
Then,
But then they've gone without an increase for 8
Right.
years.
and they could also meet prior if
If they
the work
think,
plan.
yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in the region, and
Yeah.
that could influence the
Mhm.
council adding this to our staff's work plan.
Yeah.
We did this year.
And
I say 3 years.
Okay.
Just because we don't know what's
After-
gonna.
Again, not one that we have
increases.
control over,
But it couldn't all.
but it's a recommendation. It's
Mhm.
an opportunity to say,
Yeah.
you know, we can't control when you call a
Got
commission.
it. Sure.
But we recommend.
I guess this maybe we are giving answers to the COLA cap here, right?
Yeah.
Rather than the the actual,
It's,
Yeah.
we're putting some meat behind our recommendation. If we say the COLA cap,
right.
the COLA
Oh.
expires.
That encourages them.
Yeah.
I get it. That's good.
Okay, Joker, where are you at? 3, 5, none?
None. I'd say, yeah. No. Very sad on that, but I think I would be comfortable living now.
Yeah, I'll always want to.
To do what?
You know, we don't specify, right? It just.
When they have the next commission?
No, not the next commission, the COLA, when the COLA ends.
Okay, and COLA ends.
So the
Yeah.
COLA will go
So it's not,
indefinitely.
No,
into
he's
forever.
saying no cap on the COLA.
Right.
oh.
You got it right the first time.
COLA. Because
Yeah.
we're seeing 5 years on the, or 3 years on the COLA.
That's, yes, that's yours is 5, I think, John said 5 too. Joe and I are the dissenting vote that says just let it run, and then
Oh,
if it gets rowdy, send a commission in there.
Yeah.
Right? I think that tying it to the exempt rate will keep it in check, and it'll just maintain itself. But it,
Yeah, yeah, I kind of agree.
What you want is
My
the-
point more is, we should have the community have some say in this, and if we don't put a cap on it, it's less likely the community will have say in this.
Agree, yeah. Then let the community come in and tell the council, hey, you need a new salary committee.
Is
I'll
that
come get
likely
you,
to happen?
I'll come get you, we'll drive there and sit and tell them.
I think if you leave it open, you get what we got this time, which was a council decided. They talked to the mayor and said, hey, maybe we should look at this. And the mayor said, I think you're right. So sort of this conversation, and the mayor appointed the commission to take a look at it. So,
Well, the-
But isn't it-
go ahead.
The council, a council member brought forward the idea last year, and we said, okay, this isn't in our current work plan. It's outside of the June 30th cycle of the year. We're dealing with a biennial budget that we're just starting. Would you like to amend the ordinance to accommodate the work this year, or would you like to potentially add this to your work plan for 2023? And so council debated it and said, yes, add it to your work plan, start in January, so that a commission could be
Done by June 30th.
done by June 30th.
Mhm.
So then the mayor executes the plan
The appointment process.
and sets us up and brings them in under the mayor's direction to get going.
The difference here, Robert, if they're getting regular increases because of the COLA, it's less likely that a council member's gonna go to the mayor and say,
Yeah.
we ought to do that.
Right.
And I don't want to carve out the community from these decisions.
I kind of like that. He's one, I've gone to the none.
I wonder what brought up the question. That
Let
brought
the
up
council
this-
decide they got a problem. If it's not working,
If it's working, let it run.
change it.
Yeah.
And of course, some of these have caps, so if we hit a cap, they'll probably say, maybe we should look at it.
All right,
Okay, so we actually made it through the spreadsheet. I can't believe it. Now, what we haven't done is like, okay, so what's the consensus on each column? That's a whole other question.
I think you hold off.
Yes,
Okay.
That's, to me, is, you could be influenced by what you hear from
Right.
others. You may, as you look at the data deeper personally, you could lend yourself to
Change.
somebody else's opinion.
I agree.
And it gets me too close to a vote.
And our agenda was to just set out the spectrum of options, right? So I think we are done. Maybe we could talk about the low income, like get a little more specific on that, because that could be a lot of things.
so I know that we briefly brushed against it, talking in insurance. But we didn't specifically talk about a low income stipend in its own. On
We
its own,
did.
right?
It's one of the columns.
It's one of the columns?
Yeah.
Okay,
We just
and
didn't
we
get
all
into the-
agreed that
We didn't
we,
set an amount.
we didn't
Or
set an
threshold
amount
or
or
anything.
thresholds,
Right.
something that we had, but I think that conversation needs
So-
more time, but I guess where the commission is leading is that, yes, we want a stipend for low income. We don't know where that's.
Let's look again.
And I
like
think
what,
that if we keep it vague like that for the communications and try to get the people, like, let's see what the people think, right? Keep it vague, and they're gonna come in and say like, well, are you gonna do a stipend for low income? Or, oh yeah, but cap it or whatever, and let them come and tell us a little bit more, and then we use that through the considerations in, our next,
I'm sure there's a program we
Yeah,
can look at it and see,
Disney or something.
what a percentage would make sense. So we can at least give you something and give you, like, for this program, in order to qualify, you would have to be 60% or below of the AMI, yeah.
that, for the thresholds. Yeah, we definitely should follow some pre-existing index to write something so that it's.
Have some
not-
base, like,
Yeah,
is it 60%, is it 80%, is it 40%? What are you comfortable with? If you're-
I like the idea of the living wage.
yeah, living wage and. there.
Remind me, AMI? Those numbers,
Yeah, we use them for quite a bit of things and, so the stipend for boards and commissions is a good example, because what we post online is 100%. So if your household income is, a family of 3 and, you make, I'm guessing, 108,000 a year, you can qualify for the program.
right,
Or
but
less.
the
But if
AMI,
you're going off of 60%, I can't just take 60% of that. There's too many calculations that make up that number. So I would look to the county programs or the city programs that are tied into housing or some other issues and say, what
What
is your
is the-
platform and what does 40% or 50% or 60% look like? So we're using numbers we can grab for future years and say, this is what's published. And it's not us making up some number.
and that's why you use AMI,
That is where, yes,
okay.
And there was, the legislature just passed some exemptions to property tax, reductions in property tax for low income, which had some, I don't know what they used, but it had some qualifications in there also.
Yeah, it would be good to get some technical recommendation, like how to do that, right? Like define the.
An AMI is that a county number, a state number, a whole country number?
I want to say it's similar to the COLA number in this, or it takes into several factors, but it's like
localized, yeah.
local, so it's Bellevue, it's Seattle area.
Yeah,
Right.
King County has an AMI, so you can,
Let's see,
Right.
there is like a federal, there's like, all of those exist, state level, federal level, but.
Right. Because this whole living wage thing is county level too. And the thing is, how? Well, I guess AMI is AMI, but how confident are we that we say 60% of AMI is the threat? Oh, you said that we can't do that because,
No, I'm just saying that I think staff can bring back some tables or some data that you can decide, is that one of the tables you'd like to use? And is that in what number? Is it 60%? Is it 80%?
Right.
You can actually see what the dollar amount is. So-
great. Yes, I'd love to see that table.
So we sort of work that out. What other information do we need? So I'm trying to kind of put a little, the items are still outstanding.
Yeah, I think we answered some of them.
So they would qualify for the stipend, but it's still not gonna put them above the 1,500 or whatever that we've proposed. Right?
That's very well.
So I'm low income, so I qualify to get the stipend, but you're not going to stipend me past what the other council member is getting.
No, it would be an.
That's exactly.
Maybe in addition to.
It would be in addition, you
Yeah.
actually get paid more because,
These are still part-time jobs, so.
yeah.
Right.
Right.
Well, we didn't even discuss how much the stipend would be, right?
Yeah.
But the
Well,
idea would be that.
yeah, I guess that's a philosophical question you're really posing there, is like, if somebody who only can work a part-time job, but they want to contribute to the city, do they? Yeah, but they can't really afford to do it. I mean, it's a life situation, right? So do they deserve to be participate? Can they get elected, of course, is always my big question, which is pretty low probability. But
Anything's possible, but you're right. They're free to run.
yeah,
Well, one of the things we talked about was removing barriers. And if
Yeah.
the inability to, or the need to give up some part-time hours to take this job,
Right.
or to give up 1 or 2 part-time jobs to run.
Or maybe I don't
This would
have,
remove,
yeah, I'm sorry.
this would remove one of the barriers.
Right.
To deepen the pool. I keep saying deepen, you say broaden, I like that.
Yeah,
Broaden the pool.
yeah, because again, it's like, and I'm thinking, a person that only works part-time because they have to take care of the kids when they're, doing that, and maybe they can use that and the stipend to cover for the childcare if they choose to, or whatever, right? And still supplement some of the income if they have to shorten hours, or I don't know what they'll use it for, but it broadens the possibilities of who can say like, oh, maybe I can, give back to the community and still, afford food.
Well, and so I looked at the people who signed up to run this time around, and there seem to be, I think, as usual, some small business people.
right.
Not that they're small, their businesses are small.
Yeah.
Good to clarify.
But I can help them grow. But, if they have to take hours away from their small business, close their store early or stop, offering services for a period of time, and they're under the threshold, this would be a way of making sure they can still participate.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, otherwise they wouldn't even consider it.
And I have the same concern that you're expressing now of council members making different amounts. So to me, the tension was broadening the pool and removing those barriers versus the potential dissension of people getting different amounts. Right now, I'm leaning towards the broadening the pool side, but there is that issue.
Oh, no, definitely, but again, we don't only want to broaden the pool, we want to broaden the spectrum of who we attract to this, right? Right now, there's
Well,
I mean, even when the pandemic hit, not every one of them went their salary, just some, and so that's a huge difference in income.
Everybody
They
would
didn't care.
qualify.
They didn't buy, nobody had a heart attack. So I think that is, I'm thinking anybody would really care.
And I think that there is also the aspect of, it seems that the compensation is not, like, say, market rate, right, for good reasons. It's not meant to be. But if we were to have an elected council member that it is in a poverty situation, they're not paying proper compensation for the work they do, then it wouldn't be right, in my view, right? The idea that there's a volunteer aspect to the job, therefore we're not gonna pay what you may get paid for a same level works in my mind up to this moment where, let's say, we have a person that is in poverty, in which case it would be very unjust to not pay them what would be the right pay for the level of responsibilities and so on and so forth. So my mind is that.
Real high probability is somebody who's young, who's still living with their parents. And they're not making a lot of money, or they can't get into their professional field because of whatever. But they've got an education and they got the motivation and the knowledge to run for office. So it could definitely happen in that case. And get them started, so there's always that.
Right.
They still have to actually convince people to vote for them, but it's been done. So.
You can't ask them if they're paying rent to their parents, though, right?
No. That's
Free housing changes that analysis a little bit, but I don't know if we can deal with that.
They fill out the form for low income.
Yeah.
Okay, so that, anything else we're missing, information or others, what's still in the pipeline? We got a couple of things, right?
Well, okay, we've got the data, talked about benefits, so we crossed that one off the list here. There was a question about what other city budgetary information could be helpful. Is that,
Some financial foundation.
is that important still? And if so,
Sorry,
because we
what
would
was the
need time
question?
to,
So I was asking, as we're comparing cities, we have a number of different data points. I was looking for one more to talk about their complete financial foundation, their budget number or their revenue number. I'm thinking based on where we are on the comparison numbers, we probably don't need that. Well, could we get those put on the website or an email or something? So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've got it.
so,
send it to you.
Victor, do you have that in a worksheet or something with all those rates you could share with us?
Yes, I will. It's messy, but
You take a picture with
it's
it.
there.
I don't remember the rate calculation worksheet.
I have a question actually about the worksheet funding, so I know we will pass this, but if I can ask a question here on the number. What is percentage difference here? What exactly is it showing us here? Is the percentage difference between?
I think that might
So
be a Tina question, yeah.
Any questions? So she
Yeah.
put that part of the spreadsheet together in cities.
which county?
It's a bad data.
So like for the total assessed value,
Mhm.
I guess this would apply also for the average residential. There's the 73%
Oh, it's,
difference.
so Issaquah is not totaled in the average. So then I took the average compared to Issaquah and indicated what the difference was.
So the other cities are 73% ahead on average, greater than. this
And
one.
we're in this, we were ranked 7th on the list, if you counted.
Wait, so does that mean Issaquah, the total assessed value is 73% of the average? Is that what it is?
I don't think so.
I think, so the Issaquah number is 19,070.
Yeah,
Yeah.
19
And
billion.
the average is 32,916. I took that to mean it's 73% higher.
I think that's
The
right.
average is
Yeah.
73% higher.
73%.
So 173%.
73% all 19 million, I see. Is that right? Got it, I see. I see.
Yeah, I still think on this also is the question of workload that's not on this chart, which is,
Right.
are they full service, or do they have a base police, water, sewer, that stuff, or not? And those become big deals when the council's working on TIP and policy, or if we have a jail, we have all this stuff, it's just a lot more to think about. Then it's Vanish, where they pretty much just say, what's the bill for the county for the cops? Okay, we're done. So, anyway, I don't know if you need that or not. I can just tell you, I'll tell you what we have. All right, so the next meeting will be June 6th. So, I guess, I don't know, when the communication will get going. what's-
Oh, that's right. So next week
2
there's
weeks
a
from now,
meeting, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's important.
Tina, are you able to describe a little bit
Is housing,
what gets
we're
communicated when we
one of
haven't gone through
5,
the
before the
consensus
5th, that
discussion?
has their housing is over 1 million, 6 have over 5, and then under 5.
Well, I mean, we
So
could go
we
back
should be
through,
maybe
if that's important.
You were
We
saying
could,
middle of the road
and
when it comes to salaries.
see if folks are leaning one way or the other, but I
Right.
felt like
Yeah.
people were
No,
having
this is
conversations.
not the time, yeah.
That is a-
Um, I,
are you referring to, like, if we send communication out to the community, like, what does that look like?
What would we say at this point?
We never did row 11 here, right? We didn't say, based on all the noise up above for each column, what are we coming up with?
Right.
That-
I think there's
We also
ranges.
need some more time.
Yeah.
I think we pull some bullets out of here, need communications, and we say, ranging from and considering these other factors, looking for input, and then maybe linking for more details and sharing this document if it's is important, or at least ensuring that it's in the next packet.
Sounds good. So just when you do the bullet points, bounce them off us, or at least Victor and I, just for a sanity check,
Yeah.
and then we'll go with it, you know. And then the next meeting, we'll talk about the communications and how it's, if we're getting any feedback, I guess.
Mhm. So we're hoping for feedback, right, once you put this out there?
Yeah,
And the 16th, are you, or sorry, the 6th,
that's it.
Yeah.
you won't be here,
So I
right?
won't be here, so Victor's in charge.
All right. And then I would recommend that we have your hearing either the 13th,
Yes,
or we start it on the 6th and can keep it open through the 13th.
That sounds good.
That way,
Public hearing?
yeah, so you can continue to, your decisions could change as you receive input. And
Right.
so if you close the hearing and there's maybe new input to hear,
oh, yeah.
we just didn't want to close it.
Mhm.
I think it helps us a little bit with noticing, I think, rather than just one moment, it's.
So the
Tell
hearing,
me a little bit more about how the public hearing works.
Public hearing, is a little bit more formal with, yeah, it would have helped if we had an audience, coming in to talk under public comment. But it's similar, you just say, it's an announcement to the community saying, at this date and time and location. And I'll have to talk to the clerk's office and see if there's a better program that they want us to use in here or not. And then you just open the floor, you let one person talk after another, and you set some sort of time frame, and they can speak for or against, or tell you that they think your numbers are too high or too low. It's not a Q&A.
It's not a
It's
dialogue.
not a dialogue. It's just you take in the information and
Just
then
listen.
you can discuss it as a commission, or personally, if that influenced your decision, to
In the
vote a
same-
certain way.
In the same date, have a discussion about it, you're saying, after the comments?
What you wouldn't want to do is make your final decision
In
and
the
your
same-
final votes until after the hearing's closed.
Okay.
And then once the hearing's closed, you wouldn't be soliciting, a new hearing.
Sure.
Your comments could still come in, but it would be, less informal.
Got it, okay.
So
Yeah.
what I'm thinking is, you know, how about the public hearing for both the 6th and the 13th? At the 13th, we'll try to make our final decisions and votes on, you know, up or down each one of these issues. And then after that, we'll be writing the letter.
Right, the final report.
So the 6th would be
It's a Tuesday.
public hearing, plus maybe getting some of the information, the little bits of information we asked you to get. But not a lot of discussion then about the spreadsheet and working on a consensus.
We can have discussion. We can talk about it. We just can't put anything to a vote just yet, because
We're just gonna continue, yeah, I'm just trying to think through without John here.
You could close the hearing on the 6th. You could continue it if you choose to the 13th. So we could write it in two ways that says, if you're ready to make your final decision on the 6th, you can. But if you haven't and you wish to keep the hearing open longer, you could.
No, I think we want to keep it open longer. Just to give more people the chance to get more comments, right? Because, I mean, we come in on the 6th, we get, let's say, hopefully, 5 people come in, they give us, you know, feedback, we discuss it, we adjourn, keep the window open till the 13th, we come back on the 13th, few more people come in, they talk about it, then we discuss everything and make decisions and vote then after closing the window. And then week after that, which is the 25th, would be when we start, the drafting the final report. Right? Yeah.
Okay,
John, how important to you is it to be here during some part of the public hearing?
that's not, just take notes if somebody actually comes and says anything. That's all I need.
And you can also watch the
And I can
video.
watch the video, yeah. Okay, we'll see, I don't even know if I have enough bandwidth for all of you, but if I am, I might. Just depends on how it goes, but I'm not planning on it, so.
And if we want to do the 6th and the 13th, do we have to say that now, or can we say it on the 6th?
I could schedule it for the 6th, and if you, you'd have to decide, the chair, vice chair at that moment would have to decide that you are closing the hearing or that you are continuing it to a date and time. And it still allows you to further discuss at your meeting.
My inclination would be to announce the 6th.
Play it by ear.
We're gonna play it by ear on the 6th.
Makes sense.
Depending on how many people show up, and if no one's really interested, even though we think it's fascinating.
Well, what if people just couldn't make it on Tuesday?
Right, I guess your point is it's giving you flexibility.
Yeah.
So what we did in 2015, it was June 8th. We said, public hearing, the commission was continuing their discussion of the salary and compensation, and direction was anticipated. So, and then let me look, I don't think they, let me see what they did. I believe they closed the hearing that night, and then they didn't take final action though until a different meeting date.
And even that meeting, even if we close the hearing, the 13 people can still show up for public comment,
Right.
right?
It's not the type of hearing that you could only hear once. It doesn't have like land use.
Right, yeah. That's why I think I'd say announce the 6th and play it by ear and see how it turns.
So, yeah. So
If you-
you're gonna be running the show. so-
No, it gives us the flexibility. I'm okay with that.
I can send you the script too, and I'll share what our notice looks like when we post it.
No, let's do that. Let's announce the 6th. And then if we feel we need more public comments, after that, we'll extend it to the 13th, maybe they call it.
Is there a mechanism where people see it, but either can't show up on the 6th or don't want to show up, they can email something?
Yes. Well,
They
it's
can always email, the emails on the website.
right. Just refrain from replying or
Try to do it.
talking about it through the email. So leave it to me as your staff liaison to reply and thank them for their comment and ensure them that it's being shared and will be part of the record. So that will be my response.
Right, so if salary commission or salary I can't remember the email, but that at Issaquah.gov gets an email. We all are gonna get that email, right?
Mhm.
And it's from
Exciting.
huh? Do we all
You don't get enough.
individually reply?
No, leave that to me.
Right.
And I'll acknowledge
No reply,
receipt.
That's one of the rules, right? So,
No, this is not reply all. This is, don't reply at all.
yes, correct.
Correct.
Just don't reply at all.
No
You
reply.
reply to them. And we just don't acknowledge them.
Yeah.
We read the email.
Yep.
And you say like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
The commissioners are reading your email.
Yep.
Like, we expect you to come in,
Yeah.
yell at them or whatever, right?
Yes,
Okay.
Okay, so the 6th, first public hearing,
yes.
and any other information you learn about. 13th, second public hearing optional. Let's see if we do it. But also that's, at that meeting, we'll have to make the final decisions and votes on the package elements. So you can say, it's this big, this wide, costs
Yeah.
this much. And then the next week would be the 20th. is that enough time to write the findings document?
Well, I think you could even.
We can bring a draft and discuss a draft in the 20th meeting, make any modifications, that we want.
27.
We can, on the 13th, when we have that package done, we can either have someone write a draft and then bring to discuss, or you and I can say we're gonna drive our draft, or.
Yeah, I believe one of our commissioners,
Linda, last time.
yeah, Linda took the lead on drafting it and then presented it. Again, I've seen salary reports vary from a one pager, 2 paragraphs, there's the outcome, to one like ours that were from 2015 that was more in depth. You could
No,
meet it in the middle.
I mean, with all the, I mean, I know it depends on what the package looks like, but we're looking at, possible stipends for insurance and stipend for low income plus some benefits and this and that, so like, it won't be bullet points, it's gonna be. It won't be a one pager, I don't think
I
so.
like to
but-
do both, right? So you've got like the top line.
Right.
Executive summary.
Exactly.
Right, and then you've got, and here's why, explain these
Yeah.
elements down in another more detailed
Right.
page.
And again, it's not about the debate, but it's about the outcome. So that's the story.
Right, so if, as a consensus, we decided to do a stipend of this because this to this to this,
Mhm.
not, we argued back and forth. but no, just make it a rational explanation.
Yeah,
for each piece.
It's a
That's it.
narrative, you tell them, is this and this is why.
If they want to see the back and forth, they can read the notes. And look
Or
at the
watch
notes we have.
the video.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And my
Okay.
recollection is the 2015 report did say there was one dissenting
Yes.
member.
The chair.
No, I mean, I know that, but
What happened?
it was in the report.
She didn't think it was enough. She wanted to pay a lot more, yeah.
When she wanted
If I recall.
COLA, didn't she want to increase it afterwards or something?
She wanted the
Right.
COLA to happen. which
It wasn't-
would have been a lot
None of
more.
it was extravagant,
No.
but it was more than what the others were
Yeah,
comfortable
we did.
doing. And I believe she voted for the overall package, but when it came to those individual elements, she was dissenting.
So, yeah, so hopefully we'll get to the meeting on the 27th, we'll have a final vote for the final publishing of the findings. And then it should be done
Mhm.
theoretically. Unless that wild public comment just takes over.
I know, really, all my friends.
And I think it's perfectly fine to make motions along the way so that when you get to your final package, your final findings, that's the ultimate adoption. If it helps you make decisions, motions are appropriate.
That's interesting, because I look at it as a whole package.
But I mean, if it rules out a number or says,
Yeah.
I move that we
It's not
select
considered.
1,800, then what's the vote?
Yeah,
Well,
no,
no,
I
but what
think-
I'm saying is I put 1,700 there. My 1,700 was knowing that I was going to support the low income stipend and the 457 match. If those things change, my other number might change.
Yeah, we can have that discussion just when we start doing the final decisions on each element. And you can say, well, I don't really think that average is right, and here's why, and we can just do that debate as we go through those. So yes, there'll be another death march on the 13th.
Or we can vote on a motion to vote on the base last. And then,
It's still all a package to me.
I get it.
But it does make sense, right? Perhaps to do the base salary last, now that we have a sense where other things are. It'll be the-
Yeah.
Okay, well, then I think that's it. We're got this done. I'll send my notes to Victor and
I moved to end the meeting.
Second.
Adjourn.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.